Hello, my name's Love. This is my first YouTube video. Get comfy, grab some tea, whatever it is that makes you feel safe and at home, because that's exactly why I am even embarking on a new platform, sharing my thoughts, philosophy, perspective, and truth. This is an about me video, so we're gonna dive right into it. Who's Love? Beyond the labels and roles. Who I am is rooted in the reason why I chose my name for myself, Love. I am someone who I feel like is here to express love. And to me, love is truth. Truth in every aspect. The good and the bad, the lovey-dovey and the mucky. That's who I am and who I'm becoming and how I'm choosing to move through life. Love. Beyond trying to use any labels to identify me and any roles of what I do and how I make money or what's my career or what do I see myself doing. I'm Love. Second question is, what experiences have transformed me as a queer individual? I would say experiences that have shaped me comes from my travels. I traveled a lot in my early 20s and I still plan to do so. I'm only 24. Actually, let's dive in. Love with the labels now. I would say I'm 24. I'm a Pisces sun, Leo moon and rising. I consider myself a Black, queer, and trans individual. I love to travel. I find something so beautiful in being immersed into different cultures and different ways of living. I love the feeling that an environment invokes out of you. I think it's really important to travel, specifically coming from my background. I'm born and raised in Jersey, and that's where I lived for 21 years of my life before I embarked on kind of like a nomadic journey. And I lived in a couple states, and I feel like those have shaped me into who I am today. Different environments bring out different energies in us that I feel like may lie dormant. They bring us to the right people, places, and things that will act as a catalyst in bringing forth the energy that was always meant to be invoked, that was always meant to be present, but just had lied dormant due to staying, whether it's in comfort zone, whether that's a hometown, a job, around people, around a certain environment. That would have never happened because once again, you're acting within the safeties of your comfortability. The experiences that have shaped me, and it has to do with my travels, and along with traveling, it is the time that I've spent with myself in deep reflection of the essence of my being, the questions of who am I, what am I doing here, what am I meant to be doing, and how am I meant to move through the world. Sitting in deep reflections surrounding those questions, along with traveling to put those questions now to the test, have shaped my identity, my experience as a queer individual. What does spirituality mean to me? Spirituality means to me is the pursuit of truth, is what it means to me. Looking at every aspect, so outside of the crystals and the cards and the Palo Santo and the sage, it is about pursuing truth within myself, which will then be reflected in my external reality, but it's seeking truth within myself to know and understand and to accept. That's the dark, the light, the ups and downs, the good and the bad, and making space for it all to exist. And also, once again, understanding it and accepting it without pushing it away, without putting it in a closet or in a box or caging it, allowing it to be expressed in a healthy way that is not only beneficial to me, but to the world. Spirituality to me is pursuing truth in the form of every aspect of my identity and how it wants to show up in this lifetime, and making space for it and accepting it. What does home mean to me? As someone, like I stated earlier, have been on like a nomadic journey, I haven't found a physical environment that represents home to me. So while traveling, I found myself saying home is wherever I am. Home is wherever place, whatever state, whatever time that I am moving through life. And that has allowed for me to understand that home is a feeling, is an internal feeling. And it can be reflected as an external environment I have yet to find, but it's an internal feeling. So wherever I am, because I bring myself the security and safety, and I'm learning and I'm still building onto those foundations, but I bring myself the safety, security, and comfortability that a home should, and the love that a home should, because there's nothing like home. So it's nothing like being where I am right here in this moment, and that's what home means to me. What chapter of life are we on? I feel like the chapter of life that I'm showcasing, that I am at, but I'm also showcasing on this journey with me, is a form of completion. And it's funny because we're in a numerology 9 year, and it's also ruled by Mars. I find myself being in like this Martian-like energy of taking bold and inspired actions and not biting my tongue, no longer dancing on business, and no longer hiding for the sake of who and for what. I'm in the chapter of completion, 9 being like that last single digit number, where I'm getting everything that I'm meant. I feel like I've been building, and now we're at the 9. It's like I'm getting everything that I've sowed, the good and the bad, but I know it's good. And I'm grabbing what's mine and I'm taking it with me. I'm bringing it with me to this next chapter and this next journey that I'm on. So this chapter is getting everything that's mine and taking bold, inspired, aligned actions that may not make sense, but it's for a greater purpose. What is my definition of self-love? I would say my definition of self-love correlates, and this also ties to the next following question I have, but it correlates with my perception of self. But self-love to me is the way that I treat myself, it's the way that I speak to myself, it's the actions, my choices that reflect myself. It's within the actions and choices that I make that have an impact on myself. So self-love consists of all of those things, the choices I make, how I speak to myself, how I choose to show up. Is it halfway? Is it fully? Those are acts of self-love, and it's a representation of how one loves themselves. So self-love means to me showing up fully, showing up authentically, and if I don't know how, it's learning how to. Self-love looks like, to me, it's sitting with the nasty, uncomfortable feelings and getting through the mud and the muck and of redefining what authenticity looks like to me and what it is that I desire, what it is that I would consider to be pleasurable. Self-love is how I speak to myself when I look in the mirror. Self-love to me is how I talk about myself. The words that I'm using, and once again, the choices and the actions that I make. What is my confidence rooted in? My confidence, once again, is rooted in my self-perception. I think just like a lot of other people, we tend to seek or have our confidence rooted in external validation. It used to be like that for me personally when it came to my family and my mom. I was doing a lot of things rooted in their validation and their expectations until my world got rocked and I was sat with, am I satisfied with what I'm doing in regards to it being what other people are expecting of me? And external validation, because that's a tricky slope and it's a dangerous slope, because that means my confidence is in the hand of someone else. And I feel like when we're talking about things like self-love and self-confidence, it should be rooted in self. I should be the only one that have power over that, meaning that no one can come in and out of my life, whether mom or dad, whether friend or partner or stranger, can come into my life and shake that up. So my confidence is rooted in how I perceive myself. It is rooted in how I view and validate myself. What did each city bring out in me and how was the experience? So I lived in, my first move was to Houston, then I went to Atlanta, and I came to New York, then I went to Ohio. I spent some time in Florida. I went to Dallas, and I stayed in Dallas for some time. Specifically, the South is a very spiritual, and I don't know if this is a Black person thing. I feel like the South due to its history, can be very spiritual for Black people. But South was very spiritual for me. And I also use astrocartography. I use astrocartography every single time that I travel to understand how my energy would shift based on where I was in the world. And the South was a very spiritual time. It's where my North Node was. So a lot of it had to do with me connecting with my purpose and what does it look like and what does it feel like and what does that consist of. So I was very reflective, and I noticed each time I would come to the South and then leave for my next travel, I was thinking differently, I moved differently, I would dress differently. It was like every time I went to the South, I unlocked a different part of myself, and that's from Georgia to Texas. Florida was a very, mind you, when I did spend some time in Florida, I was off the grid. It was a very peaceful time for me, and that was also a spiritual line that ran through Florida for me in regards of astrocartography. So I was very reflective. I was like reading like I've never read before. I spent a lot of time by the water. I felt like specifically Florida though allowed for me to really understand my emotions on a deeper level, but be able to process and move through them a lot fluidly. Ohio I didn't spend as much time into. In New York, my Saturn line runs through. So it's a lot about focusing on discipline and reframing what does discipline mean to me, and what does structure mean to me, and what does it look like, what does consistency look like to me, and along with really narrowing down, I can say every time I'm on the Northeast, that Saturn energy of focusing on long-term goals might take some time, but we can get there is the purpose. I get this sense of clarity about where I see my future. How do I organize my thought, and how am I so well-spoken? The answer to that is the fact that it took me some time to realize that I'm a very solitude type of person. And I use isolation not as a form, because I feel like there's healthy isolation and there's unhealthy isolation. And unhealthy is when your only purpose of isolating is to avoid, whether it's interacting with people, it's interacting with the world, taking a leap. You are in some form of avoidance because you are scared of what may come up from engaging with the world and all it has to offer. And then there's healthy, when you need that time to isolate, to shift through your thoughts and to sit with yourself and to gain some answers. I think isolating and solitude to me is a very feminine practice, because it allows for me to be receptive to the universe and to what life is making me aware of that's in my presence, and not only making me aware of it, but gifting me the insight and wisdom for that space, period, and time and state that I'm in at that given moment. So I'm able to organize my thoughts, I feel like, so well, because I spend a lot of time with myself and having that balance from engaging with the world, but also retreating and engaging with myself and my relationship with the universe. This allows for me to articulate what my thoughts are so well. And some of them are to literally come and go. Some of them are to come and to be transmuted into some form of expression, like this storytelling, or I design or do something else. Another thing with that is that I feel like a lot of people aren't talking to themselves, and I talk to myself a lot. It's been something that I've held as a kid, and not only do I talk to myself, I answer myself. And my mom always used to say, like, yeah, people talk to themselves, but you answer yourself. And I think that's crazy. I don't know, because normally when I am talking to myself, I feel like it's not even me talking. I'm able to assess like this higher being, or I would say like my higher self comes into play. And it's like, I'm of course in control of this physical body. I am talking to myself, but it's not me talking. So yeah, that's how I organize my thoughts, and I feel like it allows for me to be so well-spoken. What will I prioritize in 2025? This goes into me saying how this year for me is, and it is a Martian year for us collectively, my priority is me, and it's coming for what's mine. It's grabbing what I've earned and what I'm deserving of. And it's coming for what I'm desiring and deserving of next. So my priority is really getting down to the nitty gritty and focusing on what it is that uni wants, what it is that uni desires, and what it is. It's no more playing, it's no more tiptoeing. I want that and I'm deserving of that. It is aligned with me. It's aligned also for me personally, not only with me, but for a greater purpose. And I'm deserving of that. And regardless of what I have to lose, what I have to do, what needs to change, I'm coming for it. How do I adapt mentally without undergoing unnecessary experiences? And that goes hand in hand with the question of how I'm able to organize my thoughts. I spend a lot of time with myself and I'm reflecting. So my main focus in life is alignment, point blank period. And that will come with the ups and downs, and turning right when you're supposed to turn left and turning left when you're supposed to turn right, and not beating yourself up for those mistakes, but learning and taking the insight and wisdom from it. And it's not that I don't undergo unnecessary experiences, because some things are for you to simply find out about. I spend a lot of time with myself so that I make sure that when I make that decision, it's aligned with where I'm at presently. So regardless of whether the decision can be classified as necessary or unnecessary, I know that I'm going to take some sort of wisdom and insight from it that I will be able to use in my journey and use in my adventure of life. So it's not like something that it's just like whatever, or oh, that was stupid, or oh, that was unnecessary. Whether it comes at the expense of letting go of a person, having to leave a place, releasing a job, I can detach from those physical aspects, the person, place, the job, and see the non-physical thing, which is the insight and wisdom that they were teaching me. Describe my life journey in one word. My life journey in one word is adventure, or adventuring. But I think it's about embarking on a path and going with the ebbs and flows of life and everything that life may want to throw at me. Once again, the ups and downs, the good and bad, it's like the waves, it's like the ocean. And sometimes the wave comes in and you're able to like flow with it, and sometimes it comes crashing and knocking you under, down and out, and you come back on the shore just to embark on it again. So I feel like I'm on this path of adventure. And within that journey, there's hills, there's turns to get somewhere that I don't even know where I'm going, but it's equipping me with the right insights that build up my character, that sharpens my mind, that allows for me to better understand my emotions, that allows for me to open up and awaken my gifts, that allows for me to also express them as well. What has grief and loss taught me? I will say from this, coming from the perspective and experiencing that my dad has passed away a month ago. And not only that, I have experienced loss. I always say too, my first idea of family and romance comes from my friendships. So from friendships that I have lost, from jobs that I've walked away from careers that I've walked away from things and opportunities and experiences that I've turned down. Grief and loss has taught me acceptance. Because if I focus too much, and it's not about focusing too much on it, but this goes with me talking about how our emotions, feelings like loss and grief, but like even happiness is its own journey, yeah. But sadness and depression and anxiety, those emotions are journeys and they are adventures. And that adventure is the process of transmutation, turning that emotion into something else to gain clarity, growth, wisdom. Not to sit in it to where a temporary emotion now becomes fixed. And now that it's fixed, we create the subconscious negative attachment to it, and it creates a prolonged journey with that emotion that was supposed to come and go. I would say both of those feelings have taught me acceptance. Accepting them for what there is, because I can't change how I might have experienced loss and how I might have experienced I can't change whatever was the catalyst for me to experience that emotion. How it came about, I don't have no control over. So they taught me acceptance, and with acceptance, that has allowed for me to sit comfortably with emotions. With acceptance, it has allowed for me to be able to release healthily people, places, things, emotions, experiences. With acceptance, it has allowed for me and has taught me to accepting parts of myself that's not easily digestible either. How do I cultivate joy and freedom in a world that is constantly attempting to define or limit me? Cultivating that is recognizing that with my uniqueness and my differences, that I will experience people, the world, society attempting to define and make assumptions and to limit me and tell me what I can and can't do, or what I should and shouldn't be doing. And I think the fact that I'm not doing it and I'm not subjecting myself, I'm not subscribing to that, is rooted in some form of happiness for me. It's rooted in some sort of to do that would strip me of my colors. To subscribe and subject myself to that would strip me of my colors. And I like my colors. My colors make me feel good. My colors is what makes me me. And those colors is what gives me joy. And that joy allows for me to experience such freedom. To be able to recognize the limits, the definitions that don't resonate with me, the limits that I don't even place on myself. And it also teaches me the limits that I might subconsciously place on myself, so that I'm able to recognize it and be able to break through and have a breakthrough with it. And I was having this conversation with a friend, but I feel like my entire existence is rooted in defiance. It's rooted in seeing the normal, asking myself, how does it resonate? And if it doesn't, it's choosing the opposite. I feel like that's kind of what my existence has always been in. It's been in this choosing of the opposite, because the norm, because the definitions and the limits don't align with the essence of my being. I cultivate joy in recognizing what makes me happy and making it a choice to figure that out. I make it a choice in figuring out what makes me happy, what brings me peace, what brings me joy. Looking at from small to big, the ways that I can choose that, the way that I can choose it in every part of my day. This is a part of my joy. And how I can choose it and how I can cultivate it, picking up my phone and recording. Nothing has to be perfect or polished or anything. It's just simply me choosing it and me doing it and me being it. And that's how I cultivate the joy and the freedom. It's simply in being and existing, and recognizing when limits or definitions are being placed onto you, or when you're subconsciously placing them onto yourself, and being able to break free from those restrictions and limits and definitions that don't align. What is my purpose on coming to a new platform, YouTube? My purpose in coming here, mainly due to the fact that a lot of my content is on TikTok, and who knows what's happening with that, whether something does happen or not. I think a part of the purpose is to explore a new platform. YouTube has always been something scary for me. It's like, oh, this is a bit more serious, I guess. And being like, I don't have the time for it, and realizing that perspective never had anything to do with time. And a lot of it is dealing with some sort of underlying fear of being seen on a larger platform. And my purpose here is to create a community of like-minded individuals who resonate with the content that I'm going to share, and taking y'all on that journey with me, taking y'all on that adventure of life with me, and exploring and self-empowerment and cultivating and finding out what authenticity means to us, means to you, while you see what it means to me, and invoking inspiration within whoever it is that sits here and choose to watch me, and creating such a comfy and comfortable and warm and loving community of people who are choosing themselves and who are choosing authenticity and are embarking on that path of what authenticity gifts you with, what opportunities it brings you with, what risk it asks you to take, and having this space for us to all come and share that with each other, rooted in invoking you to realize that it's your time and it's time for you to choose you, and it's never too late. So the next video I have in mind is talking about how your hometown is keeping you stagnant, and I will be playing metaphorically on the word hometown, whether it means an actual home, town, people, places, things, a job, a choice, and exploring the soul's journey. I hope y'all enjoyed the first video. Let me know what you think in the comment. Like, subscribe, comment below, follow my social media accounts where I am active on Instagram. I'm active on TikTok at the time being, and I'm currently dropping drafts of a book that I'm writing on Substack, and I also have a book coming out. So